clock here. Let's see, Laurie, you're with us and John's with us.
Yep.
Laurie,
Before we start, I believe there's a caller that needs to be let in, Cody.
yeah, Joyce was gonna try and
Who is
dial in. This could be her to be added.
Yeah, the 250 number. She needs to
Okay.
be let in, and then we'll just let her back in after the executive session as well.
All right, I'm letting her in now.
Thank you.
And John, for the executive session, I'm going to make you the host for that because obviously I can't stay in the meeting.
Okay.
If you could just, if you can, send me an email when you guys are done so I can put you back into the public meeting and I know when to come back.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, Joyce, are you with us?
So, Glenn, so I'm still meeting you after the executive session, right?
Yeah, and I'm not sure whether we might be able to table the executive session because unless someone has something to add or change, I don't have anything new. So we'll get to that once we do roll call here and open up the regular.
Okay.
Joyce, are you with us? Hi, Joyce.
Yes.
There you
Hi.
are.
Joyce.
Hi, Joyce.
Ah,
Hello, Joyce.
hi.
Hi,
Oh,
Joyce.
happy day.
You made it. All right, we'll call the meeting to order and I'll take a roll call of attendees and then also others that are maybe on the line that want to make themselves known. It's 6:32 p.m. This is a meeting, our May meeting of the Coventry Land Trust. And I'll start with a roll call and I'll start with you, Joyce Peretta.
Yes, here.
Okay, Joshua Clements.
Here.
Rory Carmody.
Here.
Jack Donovan.
Here.
Dennis Green.
Here.
Linda Brennan.
Here.
And Glenn Underwood here. So we got a full complement. And others on the line representing planning. John's
definitely here.
okay. And our secretary, recording secretary,
Lori here.
Laurie Mercier's here.
Mercier here.
And who else is on the line? I heard George Boxdale is on the line.
Yeah, this is George. I'm here.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else out there? All right. The meeting's called to order. We do have a quorum. It's been properly posted. And I've just, because I'm working a little bit left-handed tonight, and I can say that because I am left-handed, and I jump back and forth on screens here, so bear with me. Our first agenda item was the executive session, and I'll entertain, unless somebody has some information from Grasset or McGuire that we need to go into executive session or some update. I don't have any. I think we can table this line item unless it's necessary for tonight. And we do. Okay. Do I hear a motion to table the executive session?
I second.
I need it for.
I'll move to table it. Table.
Say your name too, so I can.
Okay. Linda Brennan moves to table the executive session.
All right, and Linda and Dennis Green second and tabling it. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay,
Aye.
I should do a roll call just because it's not too. So motion to table has been made by Linda, second by Dennis's, and we'll do a roll call. Joyce Peretta.
Yes, and you may lose me. I have the number, but I'm afraid when I call John, I might lose my link with Zoom. I don't know.
Just stay right where you are. Stay right where you are. Don't do anything. Joshua Clements.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Rory Carmody.
Yes.
Jack Donovan.
Yes.
Dennis Green.
Yes.
Linda Brennan.
Yes.
And Glenn Underwood, yes. So it's all in favor, unanimous. We have tabled the executive session for tonight. All right, our next thing on the agenda is the approval of the April 20th, 2021 open session minutes that were distributed. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept, Rory.
Motion to accept has been made by Rory Carmody. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jack Donovan. All right, any discussion? All right, I'll call roll call for approval. Joyce Peretta.
Here.
This is for a yes on the minutes, accepting the minutes of last meeting.
I can't accept the minutes. I was listening to you at the last meeting, but I wasn't participating because I didn't get brought in. Like I might be lost soon.
All right, hang on. And so that one abstention from Joyce not attending the meeting completely. Joshua Clements.
Aye.
Rory Carmody.
Aye.
Jack Donovan.
Aye.
Dennis Green.
Aye.
Linda Brennan.
Aye.
And Glenn Underwood, aye. So everybody except for Joyce in favor of accepting the open minutes, and Joyce abstained. All right, moving on to the minutes of the closed session, the April 2021 closed session. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of the closed session?
I so move, Linda.
Linda Brennan has moved. Do I hear a second?
I second, Dennis Green.
Dennis Green is second. Any discussion on those? All right, I'll call roll call. And Joyce, I imagine since you're going to abstain again. Hello, Joyce. We'll move on. I think maybe she fell off the phone there. Joshua Clements.
Yes.
Rory Carmody.
Yes.
Jack Donovan.
Aye.
Dennis Green.
Aye.
Linda Brennan.
Aye.
And Glenn Underwood, aye. Okay, so all in favor, and Joyce, I think we may have lost her on the connection here. Yeah. Okay, moving on to ongoing business. The Land Trust Council dues. John, do you have any update on that?
Yeah, so Carrie in our office, she handles the working with the finance department, and she sent that off on April 30th. So that was sent off to finance, and they were able to send out the check.
Okay, perfect. Good update. We can drop that from the agenda then for this going forward for this year. Land trust finances. In the past, we've had distributions of documents that Dennis has been able to obtain that shows us our trust balance and our operating expenditures that we wanted to have on an ongoing regular basis. And I know there's been a lot of change in the finance department and within town hall. So does anyone have any update on that?
If you want to go back to past history, I can give numbers, or we can wait to try to interface and get a new report if there new changes are in. If not, I understand it's hard to get a report.
All right. So
I think-
John, I think our help that we need from the planning department, and again, I know there's a lot of stuff going on with the budget within town that's been taking a tremendous amount of focus on a new finance director.
Mhm.
But we would like to get our monthly numbers, our monthly report that we were getting for several meetings in a row back established.
Okay. Yeah, I'll reach out to them and figure out what the process was.
John,
back
do you
then.
want me to give you a list of the reports we usually get? I mean,
Sure.
I don't know if they changed the terminology or not, but
It'll be a good start anyway, and then I
Okay.
can use that.
all right, so all right, I'll send you an email.
Yeah, if you want to send that to my email, and then I'll call them and try to get that rolling again.
Okay. Lori was very helpful.
Okay.
If you can interface with her, you'll be doing good.
Okay. Sounds good.
Dennis, could you include me in that email? I had sent an email today to
the finance director, Lisa Mills, and to the town manager, Ben Marchant. Kind of with the same question, just to talk about land trust finances. So if there's another effort, I'd like to be involved or at least informed on what we typically get. Appreciate it, Dennis.
All right. I'm kind of funny when it comes to money. I mean, not that I'm involved anymore, but sometimes there's a one-on-one, and then we do it as a group.
Yeah, and I had
Okay.
asked to set up a meeting with both the finance director and the town manager, like once the budget solution is passed, right? And I think that'd be in advance of our next meeting.
All right, well, that, okay. I'm just set on my part.
Okay, so the main goal here is that we just get a monthly report on our balances. And just get that reestablished. That's our main goal here on that. All right, perfect. Next thing is National Trails Day, June 5th. And I think both Rory and Joshua had some input on wanting to do something there.
Did you want to start, Rory?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah,
That's all right.
I was wondering if we couldn't figure out a way to get the schools involved. The schools will be in, in session for that time, and just as a way for, I know Coventry High School has the, I think it's called the Envirothon. It's a group of kids who work on the environment. My niece actually went to the Land Trust Conference with us the year before. So I'm wondering if we couldn't do an outreach to the school to see if they could get some folks who might be interested in participating. I didn't
Yes,
realize.
we gave a donation. We gave a donation to Envirothon. We've
Right.
been doing that.
Yep. I didn't realize that the date coincided when I will be in New Hampshire on the 5th, a family reunion type thing that we missed last year.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea. I don't know the Envirothon or the teachers that lead it, but if there's students that would be willing to help.
I'll ask my niece. I mean, she's a senior this year. She's graduating, and she actually I just sent her some stuff about land trust because she had a project to work on, but I will ask her who's the best person to contact.
Good deal. I had been thinking on this too, because Dennis, I think you mentioned maybe at the workday that we had like a list of maybe emails of people that have been interested or signaled interest in the land trust. Maybe
That would be from our Bowden day. I should have that list. I just looked at the folder and I can get it.
Okay, that might be worth, initial kind of just email, hey, we've got a new trail that needs some help. And I had been on the Bowden property recently and, some general just clipping, very easy, light trail work that could be done. And if Rory's out of town on that Saturday, the 5th,
Yeah.
I'm around and willing to set something up for like a morning session at one of the properties if everyone else is in agreement to that.
We just hiked the Bowden trails too, and we found the white trail was the one that needed the most work, just clipping back. So. So are
Linda has mentioned, Linda has mentioned the conservation area by Sandy Bottom Road, which is convenient for everyone, busy area.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If we could do that trail, it's a very nice one along Patuxent River and comes out near Parenti Oil, comes in by the cemetery. It's considered town conservation, though. I've been thinking we should see if we could acquire that as in a transfer as land trust, because we have the Hope Meadow, but not the larger acreage and trails of the conservation area.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't realize that. Do we have a plan in place for what we're doing for June 5th?
I think it would come down to kind of picking a property
Okay.
and then thinking about what we needed to do. sounds like there's, I don't know, Joyce, are you saying that there's maintenance that needs to be done on that trail in the conservation area? Like, is that
The
near Whipple?
town has taken care of conservation, trail maintaining. It cut a tree before that fell down. I haven't been out there recently, but it was, very walkable.
I think Joshua and Linda, if or anyone that wants to participate in working, I would suggest that we, I just did the other trail on Bowden's property with the chainsaw and cleaned up most of the stuff at that point, so that was all good. But I didn't do the white trail, as Linda just walked there, and I think it would be nice to keep the ones that we have just recently established in good shape and use. So I would say that we'd want, especially if we're going to tie in with the Janice Sullivan property and someone wants to go on a longer walk, and keeping our area, like using that as our central point to keep everything in good shape and then expand into the other properties. But since we did do quite a bit of work on the White Trail the previous year to get it going again there, that I would suggest we work, or whoever can work on this, and Joshua, if you want to head up the effort, to set a time on June 5th to say on National Trails Day, we're going to walk this trail and we're going to bring some clippers with us and, get that, if we keep in good shape the ones that we make, then that's half the battle.
Yeah, I recently walked all the trails on Bowden, kind of the loop there, and they are pretty good shape, but it's again, just kind of brushing the edges back a little bit. So I think it'd be pretty low level of effort. Linda, you kind of saw it, maybe one chainsaw, and if we can get Envirothon, a couple high school students, and then whatever response we might get from a quick email, to the people that Dennis has listed, see what happens. Want to shoot for, I don't know what's normal, but 8 or 9 a.m. on the Saturday, or we want to do afternoon?
I'd probably shoot for 9 a.m. as a good start. 8 it's probably might be too early for some people, and noon people are planning cookouts or whatever, obviously, and this time of year is going to be tough because you start getting into some graduations and weddings and people getting back out again. So why don't we shoot for June 5th, 9 a.m. and it'll be whoever can make it. And if you know anybody that wants to walk and maybe move a piece of brush or help with a hand clipper or something, nothing major, to get that trail, and just having some people walk it will make our goal, I think.
Is there an active Boy Scout or Girl Scout troop that might be available? Or would find that part of their mission?
Don't know.
I don't. Well,
These might be it might be too soon, coming up too quickly for something like that, but certainly things that we can reach out in the future too, so.
Yeah, I think, Linda, and it's part of our agenda item, is establish a calendar. So we have like a year's worth of dates on there, so we can reach out and say, in like February, we're going to be doing National Trails Day in June, and we can get the word out. So I think you're right. I think the best effort we can make is just word of mouth here. And also if anyone answers any of the emails that lists that Dennis had there from our previous event. Some of those people weren't from immediate area though, so they might be doing other stuff. But let's just give it a try. And even if it's just 3 or 4 people or 5 people, or just people enjoying walking that trail with us, it'll be a success.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. All right. So is that something, Joyce? I think her phone is. So we'll move on to 5.4, encourage, organize volunteers and outreach avenues. And I think we're just mentioning some of the groups that might be available. If we get our calendar established of important dates, and that's the next thing on the agenda, that would be the best thing for us to get notice out that we're going to be doing something. And we need people to help us and participate in these activities. And the biggest part is just even walking the property and walking on the trails and helping pick up any garbage or whatever. And so we mentioned the Boy Scouts. I used to have contacts, but my kids are all not in that age group anymore. So I don't know the people in the Scouts, and I'm not with my kids long past school. I'm not in touch with any of the people at the high school or junior high school level that may, have some interest in this, but for volunteer work or doing stuff.
My kids are also way past that.
I got 2 girls and I asked, they can be in Boy Scouts now, but I don't have any contacts either. I know a couple people, so I can ask around just to get names. I've definitely seen a couple Eagle Scout projects come through in, newspaper at different parks, YMCA, and I think in West Warwick. So, and I was an Eagle Scout. I know they're always looking for projects, so they'll be out there.
When my kids were in high school, which was granted many, many years ago, there was a teacher there named Kathleen Sullivan who was active. She was a science teacher, I believe, and so she hooked a lot of curriculum into environmental issues and things like that. And she had the kids going out and doing samples. I don't even know whether she's retired by now or what, but I can see. I don't know. I'll try and find out what I can, but I don't have contacts at the high school anymore. The people I knew there are gone.
Yeah. Okay. So again, I think that's stuff that we need to continue developing avenues and reaching out to people. I think it's the better thing if we get the success of our trails and the success of this Janice Sullivan, we can stop building on that, and we'll get more people interested as we go along and have an organized operation. So let's keep that on the agenda there. Calendar of important dates. We talked about, marking up a calendar and reaching into 2022, things that are, like Arbor Day, Earth Day, all these things that are sort of environmental oriented, National Trails Day. So would somebody like to take a lead and start that calendar, looking at, events that are we should use as days, booster days for gaining, public outreach and building it so we can have it? And
I'll do that.
okay, perfect. And then you can always add in our land trust day.
Yep.
Yeah, and then once we get that calendar established, if we can, Dennis and Joshua, since you guys will be or sort of managing our agendas there, if we can always get that to Gail, so it's attached to these documents, the calendar, so we don't lose it. And then every meeting, that'll be one thing that we review to see if there's something else that we need to add to that calendar. Or if somebody hears of some event that, is suitable to add to that calendar, we can add it at that meeting.
Good.
Okay, moving on to the next, potential properties of interest, create a form letter to owners. And I think, Joshua, this is one of your agenda items.
What about our flyer? We had a good flyer.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned to Joshua, and it wasn't a form letter, or it was just a flyer, an informative flyer. And I don't know whether we have a PDF version of that someone could send to Joshua, or if John can pull one out of the office and scan it and send it to Joshua, so he would have the flyer. I think, we went over this a while ago, and when I first joined the board there, that we just, it was more of a general information about the land trust and the opportunity that's out there. But I'm not sure whether that's what Joshua's looking for. Obviously,
Yeah, I guess I was just trying to understand how we, as a land trust, kind of start outreach to, prospective property owners or people who are looking to sell. It is kind of a long process, right? And again, I've only been here a short while, right? To obtain a property. So I don't know if, following Zillow and looking for open property is going to be beneficial versus reaching out to people in advance when we see a property that maybe is worth preserving, instead of waiting for someone to try to offload it or sell it, right? But yeah, whether it's that promotional flyer or something else that says, hey, we're Coventry Land Trust, here's our goals, ambitions, what we want to do in town. Here's the various venues, maybe just educating people on whether it's easements, development rights, and then maybe timelines, what it would take to actually go through that, right?
Well, I know when Walter and Paul would send out letters, how they, as far as I know, from what I can understand, they kind of looked at a map, try to get properties already in existence and send that letter to the owners surrounding, like, for example, Bolton property, you know what I'm saying? And if they had an interest, they would reply. Now, a couple of people didn't reply, other times they said no. From a lot of this information I got when I went through the file cabinets. Walter and Paul worked really good in this area as far as getting properties.
I guess the question,
But
Dennis,
there is no form letter, if that's what you're asking.
right. That's what I was
Walter
going to
kind
ask
of,
you.
every piece of property, the way he wrote it was for that particular owner or property.
We get some samples of those letters for Joshua. So, in other words, if he could have 3 or 4 samples of them.
Since they moved things around, I haven't been in that file cabinet in over 3 years.
Okay.
I don't even know if they're still there. A lot of stuff got shipped into storage as I understand it. Now, whether that was part of it, I don't know.
Do a Google search with other land trusts. Maybe there's something.
Yeah, that's an idea. Yep.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
How about the
Google is a
state
friend.
land trust, who has a new president now? Maybe she might have something to give to us.
I'm sorry, Dennis, which
Because
land trust was that?
The state land trust, where Rupert Friday was president. He's retired. This new woman came in. Her name is Katie.
Kate Sales from the Northern Rhode Island
Might be.
Conservation District.
I think that sounds familiar. Yep.
Good deal.
Maybe Rupert would have an idea.
I think he's retired. He's out now.
Oh, is he? Oh,
Yeah. I mean, he still might be hanging around, but he's no longer president of the state land trust.
All right, so to move this along, we should have our standardized sort of letter, and then the blanks could be filled in with the particulars, as you said, Dennis. They might have been looking at specific properties, and it's nice to have something that we can say, this is what, we see something, we want to send something to a potential property that we'd like to see preserved. And I think that's a viable, I would like Joshua to see the, being a new member, and Linda too, because she wouldn't have seen it yet, that flyer that was produced.
Mm-hmm.
And see if we think, or, if that's enough information, or whether we want to have an additional information. And then I'm going to caveat that with the thing that we have to be careful about is reaching out to landowners and then not being able to move or make a purchase. So we got to be really, really careful that we're not
Yeah.
creating a situation that we can't handle. So for the properties that during the time that I've been involved, which is only a couple of years here, all of the properties were either brought to the land trust by a member or they had expressed interest to somebody in town that they were interested in possibly preserving the property. None of the properties were really things that we went out. I think Camp Green, you could say that we went out but it was brought to the land trust by members. Again, it wasn't, and looking in Zillow and looking online are also good avenues to see what's out there. But I'm the biggest challenge that we face is just being able to, people are trying to right now with the market as hot as it is, they're trying to sell this property at these top dollars and
Absolutely.
as they can.
I may add something, which you mentioned. Paul and Walter, from what I can tell, they knew what their cost base was and what they could use, how much they could expand and not expand dollar wise. So that's a key point. Because the land trust doesn't have a lot of free money in a sense. If you don't control it, you just won't be able to manage a good property that could tie into something like we already have. To me, that's how we should grow. That's just my opinion. Tie-ins, what I call tie-ins.
Yep. Yeah, keep expanding, right?
Can I just go back for a second? My niece actually texted me back because I reminded her I needed this information. Did we pick a trail that we're going to go? She thinks that they would be interested in doing the trail days. Do we pick a trail?
The White Trail at Bowden.
Okay, Bowden Trails. Okay, good. And that's the one on Ledge Road.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, no, Dennis, that's a good point on the financing piece, right? And I think it ties into the earlier agenda item on what are the finances we have, what's the cash available before we start looking, right?
So I think two things that we do should have is a letter for landowners and or the flyer, and secondarily, if you happen to see something or know a property, part of our jobs as land trust members is to keep our eyes and ears open on this. And, it could be you hear somebody looking now, I want to conserve my land, or you know a property that's, significantly, and the other part, a caveat here is, if you can't judge it a 20 in your own mindset, it's probably not going to score a 20 on our evaluation grid and be something that we're going to pursue. And that obviously would frustrate a landowner that we're not really interested, but maybe. So we want to make sure that if you're looking at a piece of property, you can do your own sort of quick review from aerials and information you gather to say, hey, yeah, that would probably definitely score a 20, and I'm going to bring that to the land trust. So that's another critical piece when we start, talking with people.
I can back up. The two flyers that I had that I found in the file cabinets, I can email those to Josh, and who else needs one? Or should I just send them to all members?
Why don't you send them to all members?
It's what we used on the Bowden property when we had our land trust days.
Okay.
And it's the same.
Same one. Send it to everybody, Dennis.
All right.
So they have an electronic version, if you could, please.
Yep.
Speaking of that, can we also get some updated letterhead? I had looked at the old letterhead because I was planning to draft a letter for the fundraising, and we still have old names on it, like Brian Underwood. Brian is on it. So is there a way to get an updated letterhead so I can use that soliciting donations?
One that Brian did?
Yeah, Brian Wagner's still on it, and I think Michelle's on it. So I just wanted, because sometimes businesses check, to make sure.
Okay, now that might come under Garrel, either John's process of updating personnel changes. I wouldn't want to do that. I think he should do it.
Yeah, because it's the letterhead just on the I'm sure they have.
John, you still there?
Yeah. So
we had. we had letters, letter forms,
Right,
letterheads, stationery somewhere in the office.
right.
Okay.
Right, so I can,
John, do you want me to send you the copy that Brian did, where you can change the names, or you want to do your own?
yeah, so if you want to send me that and
Okay,
can,
I gotta do
work with
brochure,
what we already have, yeah.
and I gotta do the letterhead to John.
And John, after you get that letterhead updated with the appropriate, then if you send that out to the trust members, so if somebody has to write a letter or a thank you, or, because we delegate this work amongst people, obviously it's better if it's done on letterhead and we're all using the same format if necessary.
Okay, yeah, I'll send it to everybody.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
So we'll be basically using the one that we kind of input it to Brian when he was there.
I think that's the one to use.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
make sure, because,
Yeah, and it just, in case businesses want to check, it looks.
no, I agree. Okay,
Accurate.
100% I agree.
Yeah. I think there was some caution too about what we might be writing to people. If we have to be careful what we say and sign.
Yeah, I think the thing, if it's a thank you, or something that's delegated, obviously, if we're putting it on the land trust letterhead, we want to run it by, for like Rory, when she got the donations for various parts of our outing event a year and a half ago or whatever, that's having the appropriate letterhead and signing, or sending it to me to say, could you send a thank you and sign as chairman, or Joshua as vice chairman, or whatever. So yeah, we want to make sure that we just don't freehand out, acting as members of the land trust on our own, because obviously it's a group that needs to approve, but this way you'll have it, and then we can approve the format that it goes on a letterhead. So again, just don't, as Joyce says, we can't be free just writing stuff as land trust. If we're acting on your own, we're going to be acting as a group when these things go out. Okay.
I guess just point of clarification, right? Even if it's something as simple like, hey, thank you. And I guess I'm thinking ahead to this Trails Day. I don't think we're going to send handwritten thank you notes to every single participant, but something as simple as that, is that something we'd need to come back here to get approval on, or
I
is it
think
more when it
maybe,
gets into details?
I think Joshua, with your title as vice chair, or me as chairman, I think we could manage that, to send that out. And the same thing, Rory made a lot of contacts, and if she needs to ask for something, for whatever the events, that's fine, because that's something that's been authorized by the board for action. And obviously we want it to look professional. But if you were to want to solicit, let's say, a piece of property, and you're going out on your own and investigating, and you don't put that on the land trust thing until we all sort of say that it's, from the group or whatever. But so I think it's used with caution. That's or use it, so, or thank you, certainly, or, and I think that is fine.
Thank you.
Next thing on our agenda, property safety waivers for volunteers. And we've had this discussion on and off, I think a couple of times, and it's back on. And I think we were concerned, about potential liability, and we know that the town is covered, but this for us. So I guess the bigger concern is, when you get into the volunteers, what, if any, waivers are necessary. And I don't know whether we have Dennis or Jack. Do you remember the last guidance we were given on this?
The last guidance that I remember is when we did the Bowden property. Brian mentioned that since the town was covered, that the people coming on the property would also be covered, to make a long story short.
Correct.
Does that, would you remember, Jack, or?
I don't have a recollection of Brian saying that. However, I know that when town has Earth Day, they usually require waivers to be signed by participants.
So
We have two different
let's-
versions, I guess, because when we
I
did the,
think like, right, it would make sense for like general trail use, right? Like going to a playground that like the town's liability would be covered. But maybe in the example like Jack gave, like, or if we're doing trail work and there's some additional risk incurred by the participants, you know, whether it's hand clippers or some other, you know, power tool, then maybe there's an additional level of waiver or signing away of, you know, responsibility of the town.
Well, if they already have the waiver for Earth Day, could we have a copy of that and just use the same waiver? I mean, without inventing the wheel all over again, if they have a waiver in hand that exists, we could use the same waiver, I would think. Or just change the wording slightly.
I think that's gonna come from the solicitor side of the group there. So John Studley, I'm gonna put this back into your court there. If you could see and chase down a waiver, so if we do a trail work or trail maintenance and we're getting volunteers to help us, what kind of waiver, whether it's, you know, a standard one that the town of Coventry has for volunteers, and just, you know, you might have to run it by Russell to run it by the solicitor and then give us any restrictions on how that waiver is to be used. Obviously, the town doesn't want us having people sign off on all these things and this and that without, you know, we're making sure that we've got the proper procedure down. So could you follow up on that, John, and reach to Russell, and maybe he'll let you talk directly to the town manager and Nick to get, and if they did something for Earth Day, then it may only make sense that we have that available for anyone volunteering for us.
Yeah, I'll reach out, see, first of all, if it's a requirement, see what their thoughts are on that. And if so, what the procedure is and what form we should use, if they can draft one for us. And yeah, I'll look into that.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks. We'll move on to old business here, Heritage Estates. Of course, I will try and always say Janice Sullivan Conservation Area now, but until it's officially, I guess, a resolution there, then we'll keep it the way we're doing here. So then the first thing, Land Trust events, Saturday, September 18th, 2021. And we got our task list that we started some of our activities and recently with our first trail work out there. Actually, we've had two days of activities now so far. So Dennis, do you want to take a lead on the tasks and where we're at and what should we be watching out for?
all right, the first thing is, has everybody had a chance to review it? It's pretty much after the Bowden property went to 5 revisions. So this is kind of the last revision that gets us up to speed. So unless you see some markups that have to be done, maybe the next thing we should do is, like we did with Bolton, put some names against each task. And I have some old copies in which, people did pick up areas. So any comments on what we have to do as far as tasks? Okay.
Nope.
If everybody agrees, then let's start with task E, if we can, the information packet. Now the names here, if I can go right down. Oh, got the wrong sheet. All right. Between Glenn and I, I have the maps, I have the handout and pamphlets, commission form, sheet, fact sheet, history. And then press release was you, Glenn.
Yep, I did the and I'll do the press release again.
And the invitation letters.
Yep, and invitation letters. Yep.
Okay. And as far as drones, I don't know if we got permission to even do anything with that. So I don't know if we should take that off or leave it on. That would be, I came under you, Rory.
I think we can leave it on. I talked to
Okay.
Mark. He was going to check in with Kevin about drones. We don't have a price yet. I mean, it can be anywhere from $250 to $350 for the final product. And then usually drone pilots charge about $100 an hour. And that covers not only flying the drone, everything, but the finished product. So I want to get that a little more kind of compressed. And he was going to check in with Kevin LaRose, look at the drone footage they already did at Ledge Road. We already have a drone footage of Ledge Road. So I'm asking him to use that as comparison, that's the idea of what we want for our trails. You know, I think it was I want to say I think it was 2 minutes, because anything over 5 minutes, then you start getting into like, you know, closer to $800, $1,000. So, and I don't think it needs to be 5 minutes. I thought the drone footage at Heritage was, I mean, yeah, at Ledge Road was perfect, the amount of time.
All right. Now, the next task, F, both of those came under you, Roy, last time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so that's donations, and you're going to do your usual raffle, right?
Yep, because that's why I want to get the letterhead, because the sooner I can get them out to businesses, the sooner they can start putting these things aside.
Tomorrow morning, I'll send this letterhead right to John.
Okay, thank you.
Right? And a copy to you and everybody. Yeah,
Thank
I'll do all. All right. And task G, again, that also came under your.
Yep, same thing, because I will ask, like I did before, getting the food and water donated by BJ's. I'll avoid the peanuts and go with the, I think last year we did the goldfish. That seemed to be kind of okay, and we did water.
All right. So now we're going to go to tax supplies. Where's my sheet?
Are these all
Okay.
the day of the event activities? In other words, these are things you'd have to be doing the day of the event, because I'm not.
You have to have them already there when the day of the event
Okay,
starts.
because I'm just saying I'm going to be in Italy for the 18th of September. So
You're
I
going to
hope.
have to cancel.
I hope.
All right. Okay, support supplies, if I remember right, the first aid kit came on and you also, Roy.
Say it again, yeah, because I got that last time from CBS.
Right.
I'm not sure where it is. I'll see if if it's still around.
Okay, the bag of ice, because you had the snacks, came under you.
Yep.
All right, spray can, that came under me.
Yep.
The tent, tables, Glenn, that
That's
was
me.
you.
Yep, I'm on.
All right. Napkins, and that came under me. Now the ice chest. Roy, did you get the ice chest last time? Because you got the ice, I can't remember.
I think I just brought my
Did
ice
we get
chest.
the ice?
I brought my, yeah, I can bring my ice chest again. I've got, you know,
Did we use yours or did we use Glenn's? I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
I brought one too.
I think we all brought one.
All right, then ice chest.
Everybody brings one.
I'm just gonna put you in charge, Roy. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, the chairs would be you, right, Glenn?
The chairs and tables and tent. Yep.
Okay. Okay, portable John. How are we gonna work that? Same as we did last year, Glenn, or what?
I can do the same as what we did last year. We had Situate Portable bring us a porta john, a porta potty, and we get that brought out. Yep, I can make that arrangement.
Okay, the sign is gonna be me. The placement, making it up and placing it.
Mhm.
Okay, now. These other items are basically all have to be done by August.
Right.
So the first thing is the sign. Roy.
Yep, I spoke to Dan. He is having trouble getting the materials. So he
Okay.
was going to reach out to someone at Coventry Lumber today to see what a time frame could be. I asked him to send me the materials list that I haven't gotten yet because I was going to ask Ed if the town could help facilitate getting some of that stuff if he can't get them. But when I get the material list, I'll send that in and we'll see where we go from there.
Okay, just remember, I mean, I'm not trying to add pressure, but we got to be putting this in the ground in August.
Oh, no, I know. It's just amazing how little of those supplies are out there and the price that they're going for when you can get them. It's crazy because it needs to be pressure treated and yeah, it just, he's been quite confounded. And like I said, he does the prison industries at the ACI and they can't get supplies to do some of their projects. That's how tight it is.
Now, if I can throw this in, are you going to need a budget for this material? and
Yeah, that's
labor?
why I'm asking him to send it to me because the prices are out of whack. Initially, he quoted me, he thought this would be running about $500 or $600, but he can't even come close to that with the way prices have almost doubled. I guess everybody's building or everybody's doing something contracting wise. So
Glenn, do we have funds in the operating budget? Russell must have threw something in there, right?
Well, we haven't touched our operating budget except for some minor stuff so far, so we should have money
should be in
there.
good shape.
Remember, we're a month and a half or a month and 2 weeks from the end of this
Right.
fiscal year. And then we'll be into the next budget. And again, without seeing what, if anything, was submitted on our behalf, I haven't seen John Studley. I guess that's another question, whether you guys saw what was submitted by the
I'm under the
planning.
impression it was 7K.
7, is that what you got?
That's what I'm the impression I'm under, yes.
Yeah, so
I don't-
as far as I know, the only things that have come out of the land trust budget has just been the dues and just minor invoices for the to create the minutes. So there's been no real purchases.
So the tree screws were the other thing that I don't know whether we were able to finally get the screws and springs. I know that was going all over the place between Ed trying to get them. But so we should have the money in our budget, even if we have to spend a few $100 extra on the materials for this sign. I think what's important is that we get this, rolling and finding the materials that are somewhat difficult. So Rory's, I think we don't have a choice but to proceed. I mean, we can't,
Right.
unless somebody has a whole bunch of lumber sitting around in their backyard that's usable. I think we just have to go and know and that we're going to pay more.
it's unfortunate. Like I said, it's about getting the materials, and that's what he's running into. So hopefully Coventry Lumber he can impress upon them that it's, it's from Mrs. Sullivan. It's,
Has he tried Casella lumber?
I will ask him that. I don't know. He usually uses a supply place out of Providence, and I think Pawtucket for Prison Industries, where they get a bulk of their stuff because they make benches and podiums and all those other stuff. So I will ask him about those too, because maybe if he does it as instead of with prison, he was trying to do this off Prison Industries to add to an order. Maybe if he goes in as just a customer. We'll see what the prices look like, but I know he was going to go to Coventry Lumber.
Okay, yeah.
But I will ask him about Casellas.
Yep. I'm sure Coventry Lumber and or Casellas might be able to help us out here, so that's good. Okay.
All right,
Dennis.
so the other parts on that task are team effort, basically. All right, dig a hole, plums, stall.
Yep.
All right. Jay is, Jack and I will do Jay. Jack, you still want to help me bring the material, right?
Sure.
Okay. And then Kay might be too soon to talk about at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if we can go back to the very first page. these are task A, B, C, and D. We basically we're in process with that right now. So again, this is basically all kind of team effort. So the question now is, we're 40% on the trail. We're gonna have to clear. I mean, Jack and I usually mark the trails. So Jack, you and I can still do that, right?
Yes,
Yep, okay.
Yeah, I'm close to the property too, so if we got the paint and the stencils, it's pretty easy for me to get over there as well.
Well, we're
Coordinate
gonna
with
be
you
polka
guys and
dots
work
this
on it.
year. So that should be different, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I was just trying to make a little humor. Dry
Oh, I
humor.
missed it, sorry.
As some of the guys say, then you terrible telling jokes. All right. All right, so now when do we want to schedule to get back and start doing this, Glenn?
Let's look and see when people are available, because the next, we talked about cleaning and cutting the brush around where the parking sort of area, and we've just got to finish up on the far end of the trail, a little bit more bushwhacking and getting that up towards the ledge road. I mean, we got quite a bit of it ready to go. But the next critical path here is getting, where we are desiring to have, that cleanup for the parking and getting those tires and other stuff. And then we can go from there and reach out for some help with the town, maybe to get some crushed gravel, just so we can just level that area. So I'm looking at saying that we want to do it soon. So I've got a couple of Saturdays open other than June 5th, which we've sort of committed to doing National Trails Day. So does anyone have any conflicts coming up? Because I think we probably got, at least 2 more, maybe 3 total work days to get that trail and the parking and the everything, ready to go for dedicating this. So let me know what people's thoughts are. I'm good on to say like June 12th I could do to get going.
June 12th? That's a Saturday.
Yeah,
Saturday.
Yeah, that works.
Yep.
that
I think
works
that'd be
for
good
me.
too. We can see what kind of turnout we get on the 5th and see if people want to come back and do it again.
That's
Yeah.
true too.
So June 12th, what time? Last time we started at 10. We want to keep to that time or do something different?
People can start working at 9.
9?
9 on both days, the 5th and the 12th.
Yeah, let's make it
Okay,
9
so-
for both days, so we can get, if we have to work a little bit longer or we're feeling good, we're
Yep.
getting some. So June 12th, 9 a.m. at the same place, Bramble Bush West.
Bramble Bush.
Okay, now, all right, we got the trails, parking, we need the town, but we can do something there. General cleanup, that should be easy enough to do. The
Yep.
erosion controls section. That looks like that could be intensive. Glenn, you still there?
Yeah, I'm having to jump. So when I switch screens, when you lose me, I'm just looking at the agenda. So what my thinking is that I'm gonna hopefully be able to dump a couple loads of wood chips where we have that steeper section of the trail, and then we put some of those 6 or 8 inch logs and anchor them into the ground with either a spike through them or another wooden stake into the ground to hold them, to make steps, just to slow the longer stretch there of the hill. So that will be probably our bigger project. So
Right.
we'll wait until we get the first part done on June 12th, and then
Reevaluate.
yeah, the parking area and that, and then if I have time, I will bring some of the stuff that we may need for the second part, but that's probably going to be the bigger part of our time spending working on, so we don't have washout or erosion issues on that steep section. That's just that loose sandy gravel stuff.
All right, so we're talking June 12th at 9 a.m. And we should, well, a lot of this cleanup, I think we'll make some good time if we can break it up, have two people do something in each key area.
Yep.
You know, do it in parallels, do a series.
Paint
All
crew,
right.
strapping crew. Do you think we need a brush hog, or in one of the previous meetings, I think we talked about a brush hog. I don't know. Most of those trees maybe need a chainsaw. They're a little bit big.
Yeah, I think just the chainsaw, and then we can get those trees, you know, they're 2-inch or whatever. I think that's just, you know, cutting them down and with the chainsaw. So, you know, we'll need a chainsaw. We'll need some rakes and shovels, and you know, we'll do the best what we can just to clear it out. I think once we get that brush and everything removed, it'll look a lot better, and then we'll have a better idea what how we're gonna finish this off.
All right, so we have a plan, we have a date. And I think this is gonna be a piece of cake. Because
Yeah.
we already did, we did it on Bolton property, so you're just repeating it.
Yep.
All right. That's only, unless somebody says some other question, that's about as simple as it is.
I was just gonna ask a question on the trees, right? When we cut those, is that something where we could ask the town to then chip them? You know, Glenn, you mentioned bringing wood chips. I don't know if they have that capability or would be willing to do that.
I don't know whether the town has a chipper or not. I'm not sure. It's unknown, and I'm not sure whether we can start committing the town to
Yep.
do. I think the biggest commitment, if we can get anything from the town, will be, you know, we might just have to drag this brush off, you know, off into the side, not pile it up, just spread it out so it just, you know, lays flat and rots away.
Sure.
I think the biggest thing that we will need from the town, if we can get, is a couple of loads of that crushed gravel that they have, or
With
that's,
the asphalt.
Instituted pavement.
yeah. And so we'll have to reach out to that, and I think whether our contacts are within the town, we'll definitely have to tackle that sooner than later. But let's get the area ready to go, and that
Yep.
way they can come and see what they can do for us.
Sounds good.
Okay, and the only other thing with the project here, you know, we talked about getting out a letter to the neighbors, and when we did the walk or some of the work last week, we had one of the neighbors asking more specifics about what's going on, and then if there were any issues such as speeding or traffic flow or whatever. So I've started a draft letter. I shared it with Joshua, a letter to the neighborhood. I will bring at the next board meeting, I will have a final version of that. What we will need though from our group, Dennis, and I know you've got some good maps, but if we have the trail, and Joshua, I think you're also were able to map it with your phone there, the trail, that we lay that down just so people see the property, you know, with a map and what we're planning on doing with the trail, so they know that it comes out at Ledge Road, and just giving them some general, you know, ideas of what we're doing. Obviously, we don't control people speeding on roads. That's not the land trust jurisdiction. It has nothing to do with us. If people are speeding on the road, and I don't know where they'd be speeding to, because if they So those aren't the bigger concerns, other than reminding our neighbors or any neighbors to keep an eye out and notify the local authorities if there are any activities on the property or in the area that are, you know, not what they think should be going on. But I don't really want to get into, you know, well, the policing that we're a police department, or the land trust is a police department, and, you know, we're not. And I think that particular neighbor probably has some concerns about, especially right now, because we're parking down close to his house. But that's still town property that we're parking on. So I think he's worried that on a weekend he'll see, you know, 4 cars parked in front of his house on the street, and that's not the plan. You know, once he sees that the plan on the map is that, you know, the people are going to be further up. If anyone's coming in to park, they'll be further up and away from his house. So I have a pretty generic, but I think I covered the topics that needed to be covered. And if we think of anything else that we might want to say, so we'll put that on next month's agenda and get that finalized, because we want that out before the actual dedication of the property. So we can get that, if we approve it next meeting, to go out to the neighbors as our neighborhood letter, then we'll get it right out after that. All right, next agenda item.
Yep, sounds good. I guess just to close that topic out, you know, this past weekend, I did talk to the chief of police and just asked, you know, do you ever visit land trust properties or parks? You know, it's not something they do. And exactly as you put in the letter, you know, we recommended, if people do ask us, right, that was kind of my first interaction with anyone, was just call the non-emergency line.
Yep.
With you, Glenn, we're not the police or monitoring it. Maybe we get notified, but I'm not chasing anybody.
Okay, good, Joshua. Thanks. That's a good point there. And it's, you know, I think our neighbors are always concerned when there's something new, and as we all would be. So we'll do our job the best we can to keep it as low key as we can, like we did with the Bowden property. All right, going on to item 6.2, Grassett property. We voted last meeting to put this in discussion in front of the town council in an executive session. Russell responded back to me that, you know, the town manager at this point, they didn't have time with the budget stuff going on. I will send another email to Russell re-asking us, you know, to get this on an executive session agenda. I don't know whether, you know, whether it's, he can at least give us a timeline so we can have some information or a timeline to give to Mr. Boxdale and to Mr. Grassett as how this, you know, that's the very next step is, you know, we need to get the town council, get in front of the town council. So I don't have any update on that.
Can I add something if I may?
Sure.
How is Russell is he gonna make up a package to present to the town council, or?
No, I thought you said you were gonna put
We
that.
have what we have, but
Right.
I don't know if he's gonna do something different. I mean, he hasn't even seen what we did for Heritage Estate, because he's just new. We already had the land, and he, you know, this is, I think, might be new for him. And
Right.
in regards to our section, you know what I'm saying?
So
So I don't know if
Dennis-
Brian and what's her name, or Caroline, if they made up a package along with what I gave them, you know, to present to the town council. I'm just asking a question.
I don't think so. I think that, you know, if Russell wants to add something to the package, so I would just proceed with the same information that we put together for
Heritage Estates,
Heritage.
which I gave to Caroline, and then,
It's the same information. It's just a different property.
okay,
And then you can run it by Russell and say, here's what we think that this is the same format as the stuff that we put together for Heritage. And then it's his call if he thinks the council needs anything additional. The biggest part is they're going to need a map. They're going to need, what's
There's
there.
there's maps in there.
Yeah. And what we're looking to do, and just a short write-up on the whole project, the components of it that need to be done.
All right. Do we want to review the package? We might have forgot how I have it, but as a committee, do we want to review it?
I'll review it with you, so we don't have an
Okay.
open meeting situation.
All right.
Review the packet. If you want to compile it, and then you and I will I'll take it, and then I'll send it off to Russell and say, this is what we're ready to go with. We just got to get the date on the council there.
All right.
All right. I know, George, you're on the line. I think, George, you're still on the line, eh?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I am.
So, George, that's our status. I know you and I talked the other day on the phone and had a good conversation. If you want to add anything on where you're at and how things, I think it was very positive. We're still on board. As you can see, we're waiting to get in front of the council is our next step.
Yeah, I'm obligated at this point to wait and see what the council has to say. I hope that you put together a real good presentation.
Yeah, I think, we will be able to, we can't predict what the town council, thought process is. And there's obviously the big selling point that we have for this whole project is a recreational area or a preserved area in the middle of the very eastern part of Coventry, where there's, it would make a great passive recreation location for people to go for a quick walk, or it's very scenic in that whole area. So I think we can sell this to the council. So I'm confident. We just have to go through this long process.
Okay, well then I'm going to sign off.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Bye for now.
All right. Moving on. Does anyone else have any questions on that? Moving on to the McGuire property, as we had discussed in executive session, I reached out to Mr. McGuire and have not heard back anything. So I don't know whether that is him just thinking about, or is just not going to respond back. I said either way, let us know or let me know. So I have no update from Mr. McGuire. That's that property off of Trestle Trail there that he's probably going to do some serious thinking about the property there. So I have no update. Okay, moving on to Leah Kavanaugh's property. And this was the development rights, and the point that we were at was trying to find out potential values of that and getting an appraisal done, so we would have something to figure to talk about with Leah for numbers to get to that next point. So John, I think you had talked about working in getting some estimates and getting this moving to the next step.
Yeah, so I reached out to the solicitor, figured out what the proper procedure was, whether or not we needed to put this out to bid, whether it needed council approval, or if we could just do it in our office and pick somebody. And the solicitor said, go right ahead. It's under a certain amount of money.
Right.
So we can just go forward. All I needed to do was solicit 3 appraisals and pick one. I have reached out to quite a few people. I didn't know that it would be quite so hard, but right now, with the way everything is working right now with the real estate market, every single one of them said that they are so backlogged right now that they simply don't have the time. So I've either gotten a no, or I haven't even gotten a call back. So I'm just gonna keep on keeping at it and keep calling people until I get some yes, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, yeah, it's a very challenging time to be getting contractors and certain things. This is a very difficult appraisal with all the house people trying to move houses and buying houses and selling. So understood. All right, yeah, this I don't think Leah is going anywhere. We just
she sent me an email a couple of days ago, and I told her we're in the process of getting a bid for the appraisals. So I'm not saying she's trying to keeping us moving. She's interested in what's taking so long. And
yeah, so Dennis, if you can just respond back to her,
okay,
and say that we're still working, but because due to the real estate climate right now, it's very difficult for us we're having difficulty getting, appraisals on board here, just getting them to get back their estimates to us. So just if you could just say we're still.
I somewhat already did that, so I'll do it again. So
okay, so now you
I
got
would say she's getting impatient, but she's having trouble understanding why it's taking so long.
Yeah, well, if anybody knows anything going on in the real estate world, it's just like the lumber world, and just like the end contractors trying to get a contractor to even call you back. It is extremely difficult with the money that's being thrown around out there.
All right, so I'll send her an email tomorrow.
Yeah,
and
appreciate
John, maybe I'll put you on copy. John.
Oh, yes.
I'll put you on copy.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Moving along on that. So that's where we're waiting. Going on to ongoing property management. We had drones still on our list here for Rory to discuss if we need to discuss anything more.
No, that's pretty much what I had said earlier, is getting a price and trying to get him, to give me kind of a solid price on what he thinks would be, so.
Okay. Excellent. Boundary markers and the famous tree screws and the screws and the washers and the springs.
Yeah. So like I said last time, I'll take that over from Ed, and yeah. So I got the flyer or the link that Dennis had last time, explaining the process of how the screws and the washers and the springs, they all work together to affix the sign to the trees. So that was helpful. I was able to track down the different pieces, and I was working with DPW to get those ordered. So I don't have them in hand yet, but they are on their way to our office, so they'll be delivered. And
it was an IP, WIP. All right.
Yeah, work in progress. Good. Well, that's good that John, you're getting on that. We certainly appreciate that, because that's one of our other projects, especially now. Once the leaves come off, which won't be 6 months from now or so, that we can go start getting some of these markings up on the property. So for the edges. All right, great. All right, next thing on the agenda, kiosk. I don't know whether we have any updates or any things that we want to talk about on kiosk tonight.
Basically repairs, we just,
Okay. status quo, but we do have to
Yep.
do some work on them. General trail systems discussions, and we had quite a bit of talk already on the Bowden trails, maintenance requirements. We talked a lot about that. We can roll into Stella Hall, general cleanup, which we said we wanted to be able to tackle. I think we're going to have to defer this until after we get Janice Sullivan done, if that's okay with everybody, that we just hold that, and that will be potentially a fall project after we get Janice Sullivan
Nice.
completed. All right, and the next and last thing on our agenda, GIS mapping. And Dennis, I know you've had some conversations there on.
The last conversation I had with Eric, he had not received any communications from Ed. So Ed's the key in setting up the accounts. So I'm not sure how we want to handle that.
Is it not something where we can set up the accounts? Like, is it
No,
just
we
a
can't do it.
web-based?
No, this belongs under finance. They got to set the accounts up. Glenn, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, Dennis.
So how do we want
Well,
to, Ed's got to be able to talk to him. I'm not sure how you do, how that happens.
the last thing I saw was that there was going to be a conversation, and I think you saw that same email. So,
Why don't you, well, unless you got one and I didn't get it, as far as I know, the last one I got from Eric a couple, 3 weeks ago was, it had not heard from Ed yet.
so he's still, yeah.
So just require an additional follow-up with Ed, right? I know we're in budget crunch season and new town manager phase, right? So
If I'm not mistaken, unless he got an extension, I never asked. I think ends in July.
yeah, right. I understand Eric's contract you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, so it'd be good to get this before then. So
All right, after I get off the call here, I'll send Ed an email asking him, status update on this, that, we really need to get this.
Because if Eric received some information, I think he would have told me. And the last, like I said, 2 or 3 weeks ago, what I got from him was no contact yet.
Okay. Okay. I will make that my action to reach out. All right. Hate to lose that opportunity.
I'll ask him if he got his contract extended. I could do that.
Yeah, why don't, Dennis, why don't you send, he's pretty quick on answering his emails back. Why don't you send him an email? Number one, has he heard anything? And before I start pestering Ed, say you haven't done anything, and then he actually has, made a call or something, or did something. And then, you can always ask him whether has there been any update on having his contract extended too. So, but let me know what you get response back, and then that will guide me to whether I need to send a blast off
All
to
right.
Ed. Thanks. All right. Number 8 on our agenda, issues for the June 15th, 2021 agenda. So here's the opportunity for people that want to add something new to the agenda for next month to discuss. Does anyone have things that they want to add or need that we should have added?
I think we covered a couple good ones with just finance discussion, hopefully make progress on GAS. Something that was of interest to me, and maybe again, kind of looking into the future, is like, what was our last successful grant application as a land trust? And that's more general interest, not necessarily pressing for June. I know we got a lot of active ongoing projects, but how do we, again, set ourselves up to get access to any grants, right? The state passed some open space grants recently. Is there funding available outside of what we may have within our own, Coventry Land Trust finances?
Yep, well, our last grant was a year, just over a year ago or a year and a half ago when we got for the heritage, and that was out of the Rhode Island open space.
Yeah.
So those, again, the grant cycles and funding, what's really important is for us to have, almost projects ready to go. And the bigger part of any of these grant applications is understanding the requirements, because as you can see, there's some stuff that we can do as a land trust, and then there's some stuff that we can't do. That's, you almost have to have the approval process all in place for the property that you're looking for, because the town it's actually submitted on, behalf of really the town of Coventry. For this funding, so it's a pretty complicated avenue, but it's always good to for a review process of that. So let's, we can just again add grant opportunities to the agenda. So we just make sure anything that anyone does need to add between now and then, that you send it off to Gail. Send me a copy that you're requesting. I don't certainly mind that people add important issues, because it's very hard for us to talk offline here to the agenda. And the other part is anytime and that somebody has a property in mind that they that they know that the property owner wouldn't mind us doing an evaluation of, that they're certainly you can always add that, and we can add setting up a site walk for a particular property. In this hot real estate market, it's a difficult time. As everyone knows, things are moving fast. Stuff goes up for sale and then it's sold 5 minutes later. But it's certainly, nothing restricts you from having a discussion with anybody and saying, would you like the land trust to evaluate it? And then, as it always comes down to, it's a long drawn out process after that. But all right.
Nice. I got one more topic kind of on grants. So it's not necessarily on this agenda, but there's a free kind of session this weekend that covers forest management practices put on by, I don't know, Paul Dolan. But it kind of covers NRCS Farm Bill forestry programs, NRCS Wetland Reserve, and a couple other things that might be relevant to our work. I know we're not actually enacting any forest management programs, but might just be general information that people find informative. So I can send that email out to the land trust members if you're interested. It's this Saturday, 10 to 12. If you're looking for
Sure.
another Zoom session.
Yeah, I know we get bombarded with them, but anytime anyone has any information of a session that might be, of interest, certainly let people know that this is coming up. You can't discuss it, obviously, because we're subject to open meetings, but announcing that there's a Zoom session on this, boom, you can do that and send them the link.
Sounds good.
Okay. Is there anything else that I missed on the agenda? All right, with that being said, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Do we need to schedule the next?
Oh,
Or is it
yeah,
already-
let's get the schedule, the next meeting.
June 15th,
Which day is it?
June
June
15th of
15th.
June.
June
15th
15th.
of June.
That's early, huh?
Mhm.
Okay, June 15th is the third Tuesday, 6:30 PM is our next meeting. All right, perfect. That gives us a little jump on the month of June here. And it'll be right after our work that we did on Saturday. So that's a great timing of that meeting. Okay, perfect. All right, so I have a motion from Dennis to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jack Donovan. I'll do a roll call. Joyce Peretta,
Yes, but about the meeting, what was I thinking? No, let it go. Let it go.
okay. I second. Joshua Clement,
Aye.
Rory Carmody,
Aye.
Jack Donovan,
Aye.
Dennis Green,
Aye.
Linda Brennan,
Aye.
and Glenn Underwood, aye. All right, the meeting is adjourned at 8 p.m. All right,
Perfect.
thanks, everybody. We'll see
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a
See
Have a
you.
great night.
Everybody have a good night.
Bye.
Night
Take
all.
care.
Thank you.
Thanks
Take
again, Jack.
care.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Glenn, I'm wondering when we will be doing a physical meeting. That's what I was thinking of instead of virtual.